Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff from Full Send Collectibles, and today I have a massive PSA reveal for you. Both in terms of size, this is actually 53 cards. I just got back the other day, but also in terms of content, because if you've watched any of these videos, you know we love to rip junk wax. And over the course of the last couple of months, I've pulled out a bunch of cards that look like gem mints or nines, um, sleeved them up, sent them into PSA, and we have 53 cards. I think almost all of them, maybe except for one or two, came right out of those boxes that we ripped right on camera. And so we'll see how we did. Full disclosure, I was actually down at my buddy's Magic tournament and we set up a shop. My son and I, we did a little bit of an event, sold a few cards, and we were so excited to see what the grades were that we actually went through my app. And so I know what all these are. So I'm not going to pretend that I don't, but I will reveal them and talk a little bit about why I submitted them, the value of the cards, some of the value you can generate out of these junk wax boxes, and the excitement that we had when we went through the app. So, real quick side note about PSA. I send all my grading into PSA. I know people love to give grading companies shit about various things. I think PSA does a great job. They've been turning around these bulk orders in a matter of like 35 or 40 days lately. They've done specials almost every single month where cards are $15.99. So after things like shipping, tax, etc., you're actually in for about $17 a card, which I think is a pretty good value. And then the technology is pretty sweet. They keep you informed all the way from when they receive your order to when they're grading it to when they're about to ship it. And when they finish it, before you get it, they have a really sweet app where if you want to flip through one or two cards and do a reveal with whoever, you can do that as well. So um, this was a 53 card order, about $17 per card when all was said and done, total of $890. So we will see how we did with this order. Spoiler alert, we did pretty well. So I've been nailing some of the cards, had some misses on others, and we'll look at those as well. So got all my cards here, 53 cards. I'll start in this pile, which I think is a stack of all of my basketball. So the first few I submitted are from the 92-93 Upper Deck set. Those are the Fanimations, and you've seen me and my son Ben reveal a few of those previously, and we've done pretty well on them. So I do want to collect all the Fanimations in a 10. And the Jordans and the Jordan Birds, etc., those are worth like 125 to 150 if you get them in a 10 anyway. So first reveal is we have a mailman Fanimation out of that set, and we nailed a 10 on that. Real cool card. I sent that in again because I thought it looked fantastic. Thought it was a good chance of a 10. And I believe this one, it's not a hundred plus dollar card, but it is about 60, $70 in a 10 if I was to flip it. Up next, we have the 1991 Michael Jordan checklist. Um, Again, not a banger of a card. This is worth about $50 in a 10, but I thought it looked perfect. Didn't have one for my PC, and I did hit a 10 on that one as well. Um, Next up, I think they're not in order, but I submitted two 91-92 Fleer Jordan team leaders. Real fantastic card. You've got the back of Jordan jersey, number 23, team leader hitting a jump shot. I sent in two of these. This is the first one I pulled, and that is a 10. I probably won't send in too many of these 91-92 Fleers because if you've been following previous iterations of my reveals, I actually have not done that well on these. I think it's hard to gauge, at least for me, whether they're centered or not, which seems to be a problem, which gives me back a bunch of eights and nines. But this one I did jam a 10 on, a $100 plus card out of a real cheap junk wax pack. So I didn't put these in order of 10s, but so far we're 3 for 3 and we're off to a banging start. Up next, one of my favorite cards of all time, Michael Jordan 1990 Skybox. Super iconic. You've seen me rip this right on camera. This set was a game changer for basketball, in my opinion. Sent in one of those and got it back in a dime. So I think I opened two of these boxes, maybe got three to four Jordans out of them. Thought one was good enough to grade out of 10, and I did get the 10 back. So we're off to a blazing start, 4 for 4, nailing the basketball. Oh, and that's about a $150 card, by the way, out of a $50 box. So, but again, I opened two boxes of it and spent $17 to grade, but we're still up on the transaction. All right, this next one I am super excited about. one of my favorite cards from my childhood. As a 41-year-old person, Larry Johnson was my man. Loved to play him in NBA Jam. Loved the Hornets, one of the first starter jackets I ever owned. And so this one coming out of the 1992 Fleer set. They don't call these Provisions anymore, but they're Provision style. This is card number 253. It's called Carolina Thunder, Larry Johnson. When I submitted this to PSA, it was a Pop 1. Got this back in a 10. So I have a Pop 2 LJ in this beautiful card that you, if you're my age, probably remember from your youth. I honestly don't have any idea whether this is worth $100 or $1,000. I don't think I'll test the market for a while because this is going to sit in my PC at a Pop 2 for some time. Just absolutely in love with that card. All right, up next, I'm not sure if they're all in order, but 1991 Fleer Low Series has the Pro Visions for basketball. I sent in all my Jordans and my Robinsons, did really well on those, but then I went through because I like to create the set and did so well on them that I figured I could eyeball a few up and get some 10. So I sent in this batch some Barclays, Karl Malones, and Magic Johnsons. So first one we got back, Charles Barkley, that's a 10. Um, not a huge card, 50 bucks, call it. And interestingly, how I had these stacked up, I'm 6 for 6 on 10 so far. Next one was a Cara Malone. Got that back in a Gem Mint 10. I find these pretty easy to grade. Somehow I got one of these back in a 4, I think, one time. So I must have missed like a major indentation, but they're pretty easy to tell if they're centered on the front. They give you some leeway for centering on the back. The edges are white, so they're not, easy to nick up. And so as long as you have some sharp corners and a smooth surface, we do pretty well on 10s with those. Up next, I submit another Karl Malone. Man, break the streak. That's our first 9 that we got back. Nines on these, you still are break even. So, while I obviously prefer the 10s, I'm not super disappointed in the 9s. Two Magic Johnsons coming up next. For the sake of time, I'll reveal them both. I thought at least one of these would 10 out, but I got two 9s back on the Magic. So that's the only card from this 6 card set that I do not have a 10 in yet. So I'll be on the lookout for another one. Again, I could always buy them. They're not very expensive cards, 40, 50 bucks, but I like the process. All right. Up next, we have you've seen me open 89 hoops on camera. I have gone on record and saying that the low series, which has kind of a premium of about $100 a box, maybe $80 a box. Right now, it's August 2024. Um, is probably worth the investment over the high series because it has the good David Robinson base rookie. So on camera, I opened 3 of these. I thought only one was good enough to submit. I actually didn't think it was a 10 because it looked a little bit off centered, but you never know. They give you some leeway with centering. I did get a 9 back, which is cool. Still about a $50 card. But you submit this at a 10, you get it in back for $300. Um, Up next, I have one of the two 1992-93 low series Shaquille O'Neal trade up or deck cards. I forget if it was 3 or 4 of these out of one box on camera. I guess it was probably 3. After a closer look, all 3 of them really had some edging issues because this is a black card on the white or the back and the front and the back. Um, it's very hard to 10, which is why the pop is really low and the price of it is very high. I believe it's about a $500 card in a PSA 10. I sent in 2. This is the best one I got back at a PSA 8. The other one, spoiler alert, is a little lower, and I'll talk about why it's lower in a second. But really nice card. My first 8 of the day. That'll be kept for my PC. Up next is the 1991 Michael Jordan award-winning hologram number 1. This one I got back at an 8. I believe this is about the 5th or 6th hologram I've sent in. Uh, every single one of them I've gotten a 9 so far. They must have thought there was a little bit too many surface scratches on this one and ended up giving it an 8. But this card is still at an 8, better than break even on the $17 submission, so I'll take it. One of my favorite cards. All right, this is the next 91-92 team leaders. This one I got back at an 8. So I had an 8 and a 10 here. To my eye, they look the same. I do think maybe I'm not doing so well on the centering, and perhaps there's a slight corner issue on it as well. But this is a whiff. When you get this back at an 8, it's basically a coaster, probably worth 10 bucks. So not quite worth the price of grading. And so in my previous break or reveal rather with my son Ben, we absolutely knocked the 1989 NBA hoops out of the park. I submitted a bunch of Jordan bases, a bunch of Jordan All-Stars. I think I was 66% on the gem rate. I submitted two more Jordan All-Stars that I thought were 10s, and I freaking whiffed on them. I got back a 7 and an 8. I haven't had a chance to study these closely. I think they're centered. I thought the edges and corners looked good. I didn't see any surface issues, but these are basically coasters, not worth the price of grading, unfortunately. And those were big whiffs. All right, so our 7 and 8 pile is getting a little bigger after our major rush with 10s off the start. Next is the other trade upper deck. This one I got a 6 on. So I debated whether to send this in the first place, but I figure I'd do a little bit of an experiment. The edges and corners on this one actually look really good, but as you may know, there's a hologram just upper deck logo on the back. I noticed when I was inspecting the front of this card that at an angle, you could actually see it push through the card and kind of indent it on the front. I wasn't sure if they'd give leeway on that or not, and it looks like they did not. They sent this back as a 6. So, not the best submission, but, $17 for learning experience. The next two, I don't really count in my gem rate because they're pretty much absolute jokes. When I record or stream, we make a lot of jokes, and a lot of them are from movies, movie references. And so I cracked a couple Clarence Weatherspoon rookies. We're big 8 Mile fans. The whole Clarence parents have a very good marriage, et cetera, et cetera. So none of these have ever been graded. Why would you grade this card other than the fact that we think it's funny? I sent them both in, got a 9. This is a pop 2. I hold both of them in my hand. If I get one that I think is good enough for a 10, I will send it in so I can have the pop 1 Clarence. But two Clarence Weatherspoons and a 9, just for me and my buddy's PC. And the other one for my PC I sent in was the Alonzo Mourning rookie, super iconic card out of the 1992 Upper Deck for me anyway. This was the heyday of my basketball collecting. Got this back at a 9, worth roughly the price of grading. So would have preferred the 10, but I'll take the 9. All right. Up next, I got a stack of cards I can see. These are 1991 Fleer Baseball Provisions. Now, I will get to some of the ones that are black that you would recognize out of the red and yellow Fleer box, but these actually come out of the factory sealed set. So I was trolling eBay one day, found what I thought were 1991 sealed boxes. I bought a case actually of 1991 sealed sets. So it comes in the Fleer, it's actually shrink wrapped. Whole set of the yellow cards. You guys all know what they look like. They're actually um, these cards right here. And typically out of the box, the Provisions look like this. Now, in the factory sealed set, there were 4 Provisions cards made that you could not get out of the box, um, and you'll see them right here. So I went through about 8 of those sets, which cost about 12, $15 a set. They're super, super cheap, and pulled out the Provisions because I wanted to turn them into 10s. Wanted to turn them into PSA 10s. These are a little easier to tend, just like the 91 Fleer basketball. They have white on the front borders, white on the back borders. So as long as your corners, edges, and centering are good, you don't have to worry about nicked up prints. I did really well on these. We'll go through them here, but I think I submitted, I don't know, 10, 11 cards, and I'm going to rattle off a bunch of dimes for you guys. So Ricky Henderson, that's one of them. There's a Gem Mint 10 on Ricky. I'm going to set these in a pile because I forget exactly how many I sent. There's one. There's a Barry Bonds Gem Mint. By the way, the Rickies and the Barry Bondses are about $125, $150. So I spent $17 on the grade, uh, $12 on the set, pulling 4 out of them. Probably spent $150 on, the case of 12. And we're going to do really well on these. So there's a Barry Bonds in a 10. Here's another Ricky Henderson, Gem Mint 10. So we're 3 for 3. Dave Stewart is 1 out of 4, so we gemmed him. 4 for 4. Ryan Sandberg is the fourth in this collection. We gemmed Ryan. So we are 5 for 5. Barry Bonds, gem mint 10, 6. Oops, I didn't mean to get into these. Let's see if we can. These are the black ones, so bear with me 1 second. They're in here somewhere. We'll come back to them. Anyway, put a pin in that for a second. We're 6 for 6 on the white provisions. All right, let's get into the provisions that come out of the box. If you look these up on eBay, these PSA provisions right here, you will see that a recent seller sold a few of these cards, about half the collection in PSA 10s. Jose Canseco went for over $2,000. The Darryl Strawberry went for over $2,000. The Dwight Gooden went for over $1,000. So these are extremely rare 10s. They're very low pop, very hard to get. And because they're super cool cards, pretty nostalgic for a lot of people, they are commanding a premium price. They come out of a $20 box, 1991 Fleer sealed box. They are extremely hard to 10 though. So, but you can rip through a bunch of them, and if you just get 110, you're on break even. Even the nines are worth sending in. So we'll go through these. I got the Mark McGwire back, PSA 9. Here's another Mark McGwire. That's a PSA 9. Another Mark McGwire, PSA 9. I was really hoping to 10 some of these, but they are so hard with the black edges. Darryl Strawberry. We got an 8 on the Darryl. Maybe a little bit of a centering issue there. Jose Canseco. We got an 8 on the Jose. Another Jose Canseco. Another 8 on him. Even 8s on these are break even, by the way. So these are like $20, $25 cards. The 9, depending on who it is, call it $40, $50. So if you get a good run of them, nice and centered, pretty good edges, it's worth the submission. Will Clark, we turned him into a 9. Doc Gooden, turned him into a 9. And last, Jose Canseco, I believe that's it for the rack. Turned Jose into a 9. So did the best on the McGuires, all 3 9s. Got a 9 Canseco, 9 Gooden, 9 Will Clark. So pretty good. We definitely generated value on those. Just sweet and iconic cards. You hit one in a 10, and you have a 4-figure card sitting in your hand. We didn't even send in any Bo Jacksons, which is one of the most popular ones you can get. All right. If you guys watched the 1992 Fleer video, we were hunting down provisions. I opened 4 out of the box, and we opened, and I thought they looked amazingly good. So I actually sent in every single one of them to see how well we did. I did not do that well on these. I actually got no 10s on these provisions. So first one we got back, Nolan Ryan. That was a 7. And I got to look at these a lot closer because I really thought they were nicely centered. I thought we checked all the boxes, edges, corners, etc. Surface issues. We got Ken Griffey Jr. here at a 7. That's the second junior I sent in, and I have not got above a 7 yet. Frank Thomas is next, one of my favorite cards. Turned Frank into an 8. Not super good. All these 7s and 8s are basically coasters. Give them away to your friends. They're worth, $10. Robin Yount, that one was the best so far. Robin came back at a 9. Very cool card. But in a 9 might be break even. Cal Ripken Jr. got another 9. That's a great and iconic card. Not making much on that as a 9. Might be a $20, $25 card. Nothing crazy. So we didn't do too good on the 1992 Provisions. I'll study those up. I'll see what I did wrong there. They looked good to me. Not sure if the grader wanted to go to lunch or whatever, but did not nail those cards. All right, getting down to the last of it here. I went through some of the other cards I ripped. This is an 87 Donruss Barry Bonds. We've got 2, so that's one of his rookies. Thought these looked good enough, and I haven't done well on these. I've never gotten a 10 on an 87 Donruss, so I'll probably stop trying. These are a 7 and an 8, so nothing great there. Couple other, so another set I really like. These actually come out of a board game. They're not super common, and they are all very low pop. This one was a Nolan Ryan that I sent in, 1987 Classic Green. We got an 8 on the Nolan Ryan, and I believe that's about a $50 card, so not that bad. He's, the GOAT, of course. Um, I know I have, all right, so here's the other, let me finish up the Provisions factory set, right? So far we are 6 for 6. I've got three more here. Got that Barry Bonds. That's my one and only 9. So 6 for 7. I got one more Dave Stewart in a 10, 7 for 8. And then Ryan Sandberg, another one in a 10, 8 for 9. So we sent in 9 factory set Provisions. We got 8 back in a dime. For the amount of money I invested in these, that is actually a pretty hefty profit. Again, the Barry and the Ricky, of which we got back like 5 total, each about 125, $150 cards. So pretty awesome. All right, and last we are going to close out with more Provisions. These are the 1991 Fleer Football. So I sent in a few of these. I've done pretty well so far on gemming these. Um, the first one's a Bo Jackson, which I have not hit yet, and another 9. I think I have 3 or 4 9s on Bo, but still a beautiful card, 50, $60, something like that. So we generated value there. Whenever I flip a Bo or a Barry, I always cross my fingers because they're basically $1,000 card. Last Barry Sanders I had in a 10, which is a pop 8 at this point. I sold for $1,000, and I sent in another Barry and nailed it in a 10. So for the $890 I spent to grade this whole pile of cards, this one Barry pays the bill, which is a nice to have. The rest, other than the cost of the boxes, which is pretty negligible, is all free value. Derek Thomas in at a 9. Haven't hit a DT in a 10 yet. Derek Thomas in at a 9. Last two cards, Bruce Smith and Howie Long. The Bruce is a pop 14 and the Howie Long's a pop 6. Bruce Smith come back at a 10. That's about a $250 card, something like that. And Howie Long in a 10, pop 6. So I haven't gotten a Howie yet. Goes right into my PC, so I can get all these in a 10 and live my dream. So that is it for the massive reveal. Again, you saw me open basically all these cards on camera. Um, we gemmed about 40, if you include all the cards, which are a bunch of cards I knew were not going to get a 10, our gem rate was about 40%. If I was truly only trying to get 10s, would have been well over 50%. So we're getting pretty good at eyeing some of these cards. And again, like, we love to rip junk wax. It's something we just like love to rip wax in general. These are very, very inexpensive boxes, and boxes that we are just generating a good amount of value on and then adding cards to our personal collection. So that's it for this reveal. Hope you liked what you saw. If you did, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Now that summer is about to wrap up, I'll be doing a ton more rips. I'll have a lot more time on my hands. Go ahead and also, if you're interested, follow me on Instagram at Full Send Collectibles, a mix of old stuff, new stuff, and what me and my kid are into as we go down our collection hobby experience. Thanks for watching. Hope y'all have a great day.